Not my best move, okay? And definitely not advice. And the spending habits that I've gotten comfortable with are kind of based on an income that I no longer have. I was feeling kind of disappointed in myself. So let's talk about these sinking funds. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another How I Budget for a Fresh New Month monthly money update, this time for the month of August 2024. That was a mouthful. I'm so excited for today's video. I'm so happy that you guys are here talking about money with me, whether it's for the first time or whether you've been alongside me for months or even years. I've been doing these videos for so long and it was just my birthday a couple days ago, which has me feeling so nostalgic and thinking back to when I started these videos. It's been about 4 years, which is insane. And I've really come a long way, and I don't know, I owe a lot of my journey to the fact that I've been filming these videos and that you guys have been watching. So thank you so much for being here. If you are new, my name is Zoe. I'm now 28 years old and I live in Montreal. I love making videos about personal finance as well as wellness and lifestyle, and just combining all of that and showing you guys a real person's real life. And today we are talking about my real finances. I like to be super transparent with you guys and show you the good, the bad, the ugly. As always, talking about how I've been feeling, what I've been spending, all of that. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already. You can also follow me on Instagram. I've been trying to be good at posting more over there, and specifically more finance content like short form. So if you're into that, you can follow me. I will have my username on the screen. And I'm gonna ask you guys to please thumbs up this video because it really supports my channel when you like the video. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. So this is the monthly money update for the month of August. We are going to look back on July, look at what I spent, undo the cash envelopes before we build a budget and move forward into August. We are also, I really want to focus in this video a lot on goal setting and some sinking funds, which we'll talk about very shortly. So I'm going to be changing up the order a little bit, but as always, I like to start with a little money feels chat because I just think it's so important. And that has also been like a huge thing on my journey, is not neglecting the emotional part of budgeting and not neglecting the feelings, because taking 5 minutes to sit down, and in this case, this is like my little video diary, but you could chat about it with a friend, you could write it down, you can just, reflect on your own, go for a walk, sit in your favorite chair, whatever you got to do. But I feel like thinking about how your previous month went, what went well, what went not so well, how were you feeling, and how do you want to feel next month? I just think it's so helpful because we're never going to be perfect. And I think budgeting comes with this, especially when you're new to it and when you're like just getting started. But even when you've been doing it for a while, it comes with so much pressure to be perfect. And especially when we watch a lot of budgeting content, we can tend to compare ourselves to the people that we see on the screen. I never want you guys to compare yourself to me, but I understand that it's inevitable because I watch other creators, whether it's on YouTube or, on short form like Reels, and I compare myself to them. I think it's nice to take some time to reflect and be gentle on yourself and be proud of yourself for what you're doing and taking, your eyes off of other people for a little bit. I say that as you're watching my video, but that's also why I like to really talk about my emotions when it comes to money, so that you can understand that even though I've been doing this for 4 years, even though I've paid off my debt and I've started building emergency funds and I'm working towards certain investments, I still feel like crap about money sometimes. I still compare myself to others, and it's all just part of the journey. So jumping all the way back to June, I kind of took June off of budgeting. I did not do my cash budget and I barely tracked my finances. I spent a lot of money on my trip to Europe. I had an amazing time and came back here to Canada and was like, all right, July, we're getting back into it. For me, getting back into it, the number one thing was redoing my cash budget. So, setting the cash budget for July, setting those categories, and that's just like a huge part of my routine. And I always say it, but that has been the game changer for me, is these cash envelopes, life-changing, game-changing, really, really solidified my love of budgeting and turned it from something that felt really overwhelming, made me want to cry, really stressful, to something fun. So had to get back into that, and I'm so glad that I did. We're gonna obviously do it again this month. It is not going anywhere. And I think July started really, really strong. I was doing great. I was sticking to my cash categories. I was sticking to, I guess, just some of the intentions that I had set for myself, like not buying any clothing and really limiting the treat yourself. And I think something that helped is at the beginning of July, I did do like a big home life makeover, which I vlogged. There's 2 vlogs if you guys haven't seen those yet, but we went to IKEA. You and I went to IKEA, got a bunch of stuff, and I really like cleaned up the house and organized and stuff. And that just made me feel so good. And that spending from IKEA, I feel like it kind of scratched my like spending itch, but I had taken the money from kind of a joint savings account that I have with my boyfriend because we live together and because everything that I was buying was for both of us. I definitely think like a spending itch is something that I get every single month. It's like, all right, what's going to be my purchase this month? Like, I think I'm just someone who loves spending money, and I know that's like weird, but I've been this way for a really long time. And as much as I try to be frugal and not buy clothing and, you know, just not be this like consumeristic, it's hard. It's really hard because I grew up like shopping was a reward and shopping was fun and shopping was an activity. I feel this pull between like, that is bad, don't be like that, like stop, like be so frugal. And I do get a lot of those videos and stuff targeted to me of like the like stop consuming and like da 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 da. And I'm like, I'm just not like that. Like and I'm obviously not someone who's like so crazy either. Like I'm not a crazy Amazon haul person or you know, always, there's not a package arriving at my house every day, but I do feel like once a month, few times a month, I get this itch and I'm like, I need to buy some new clothes. I need to buy something for the home. Like I just get this itch. As the month progressed, my budget really started slipping and certain things just, there were nights where it was like, we totally should cook. We totally should go to the grocery store, but we're ordering takeout. And I know I'm being hard on myself because when it comes to ordering takeout, like me 4 years ago was ordering Uber Eats, ordering something fancy, having it delivered to my house. And now I like go out and I will like drive to Saint-Hubert so that it only costs $40 for 2 people. So even when I'm like kind of splurging, I'm splurging in a more conscientious and affordable way, but it definitely doesn't need to happen, I think, as often as it did this month. So I spoke about this last month, but my income this summer has been, let's say, lower than usual. It's pretty, well, usual for the rest of the year. It's pretty normal in the summer that being on YouTube, things just really, really slow down. Your videos get less views. There's less brands that want to work with YouTubers in the summer, at least in my case. And it's been that case for me for like every single summer. And because I'm taking on less copywriting work, my income really has taken a step back. So the spending that I've kind of gotten comfortable with and the spending habits that I've gotten comfortable with are kind of based on an income that I no longer have these current months, which has led to me really feeling the squeeze at the end of July. So I was feeling kind of disappointed in myself of like, oh, Zoe, I think there's things I could have done better. Less spending. I like splurged and ordered myself like a birthday gift. And I was like, oh, I'm a running girl now. I need more running clothes. And yeah, just all of these little moments that maybe didn't need to happen or would have been fine if I were earning a little bit more money. But the great thing about budgeting, and like this morning, let me tell you, today is August 1st. This morning I woke up feeling bad about myself, feeling hard on myself, feeling disappointed. And in preparation for filming this video, I sat down, I did some like journaling about budgeting. I wrote down my budget for August, and it really does feel like a fresh start. The new month and setting a new budget for a new month is a fresh start, and we don't need to dwell on the things that maybe didn't go so well the previous month. We can just learn from them and move forward. And the thing that I learned from July is that if I just take a little bit more time to prepare, these little things don't need to happen. So I feel like I spent a lot more on groceries, and I think JS too spent a lot more on groceries. We kind of alternate, like one time he goes to the store, one time I go to the store. We don't like put it all together and then split it. We just alternate. I think he would agree with me that we really spent, between the two of us, a ton of money on groceries. And it's because we were going more frequently to the grocery store, not really planning our meals and just like scrambling and buying stuff, you know, for dinner that night and like lunch the next day. Whereas when we plan and when we drive a little bit further out to a more affordable grocery store, we're able to do a big haul for the whole week and it costs so much less money. So that is something that is going to be so important for August, is not prepping the meals, but like prepping a menu and then going to the grocery store, just being more prepared. When I lived alone, I could get away with less frequent grocery trips, and it actually helped me save money because I was by myself, and if I bought too much for the week, like I just couldn't finish it all by myself and it would go to waste. But now that I live with someone else, I feel like those more stock up trips are better. I also used to only eat like pasta and salad, like those were the only two things that I would eat. So you save a lot of money, like always eating the same thing. And if you only eat pasta, you also save a lot of money. So now I definitely eat better, but it costs more money. Something that I'm really proud of, and I think it's indicative of how hard I've worked on my budgeting and how hard I've worked on my money mindset, is even though my income is lower this month, and even though we will talk about it, but I am so like not on track to hitting some of my financial goals right now, I don't feel the money anxiety that I used to feel. And I think that comes from paying off my debt and having my emergency fund. And so I want to share that, not at all in a braggy way, and not to be like, look, I'm so great, I did that. I want to share that because I want you guys to have that feeling. I know a lot of you guys watching are on your own journey with your financial anxiety and your feelings about money, and it's so freaking hard. Like paying off your debt, it sucks. It's like, ugh, it's like, you know, and you watch people who don't have debt and you can feel envious of them and you're like, ugh. And building your emergency fund, actually for me, building the emergency fund was worse than paying off the debt, because at least the debt, I was like, oh, I'm gonna feel this weight off of my shoulders. My emergency fund, I'm like, oh my God, like, The emergency fund gives me such peace of mind that I couldn't have anticipated it. So I wanna share that message with you guys. If you are paying off your debt, if you are building your emergency fund, stay strong, because it will feel so good once it's done. So keep going, okay? I'm cheering you on. I want you to have that feeling, because shit's gonna happen. You're gonna have a vet bill. Your kid's gonna cost you money. You might earn less money one month if you're a freelancer, or if you need to take a break from work, or whatever it may be. Things come up, things happen. I know the feeling of having that financial anxiety and having that intense guilt and maybe some intense shame about spending and like, ugh, with your budgeting. But I really think once you get that debt paid off and once you start building that emergency fund, you will feel that weight off of your shoulders, and you will feel a sense of security even when these unexpected things pop up, and it's worth it. It's so worth it. So if you're on that journey, stay strong. I don't mean to be preachy. I'm just like really trying to share that it feels good and that the hard work is really worth it in the end. So moving along, I now want to talk about my goals and my sinking funds. And the sinking funds portion of this video is heavily inspired by Carter Sullivan. And it's so funny because I was just watching her monthly money video and she gave me like the most beautiful shout out. I'm like, Carter. And then, you know, I continue watching the video and I'm getting so inspired by her. So I'm like, I'm gonna return the favor and give her a shout out. But I feel like Carter to me is very inspirational. I feel like she's very good with her money. And one thing Carter talked about that I really drew inspiration from is her sinking funds. And she has like a fun sinking fund. And I was like, I need to copy that because I feel like my sinking funds are less exciting. I currently have a sinking fund for my dog Maggie, for my car, and then of course my emergency fund. And then I also have a 1 month ahead fund. But all of those are a little bit more serious. They're a bit more pay the bills and in case of emergency. And so I figured a fun funds sinking fund was such a good idea because it can really take away some of that guilt. And I wanted to talk about this because like I just mentioned, I bought myself a little birthday gift. I did like a Aerie haul, and was any of it necessary? Did I need any of it? No. But everything is so cute and so comfy, and I know I'm gonna use it and it's gonna inspire me to run more. I bought myself like a running outfit, and then I bought myself like this cute little kind of ballet inspired workout dress and a little cardigan. And all of that came to $250, and I really did feel guilty for making that purchase because like I said, this is not my highest earning time of year. I don't really have that extra disposable income to spend. And yeah, I did feel ashamed of that, but watching her video made me realize if I create for myself a fun sinking fund, like for fun purchases, I can make these purchases more guilt-free. So I definitely want to learn from that experience. And I literally felt, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to come onto YouTube. Like, I have a confession to make. Like, that's how I felt with that purchase. So I really went back and forth about like returning it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to keep it. It's like my birthday gift to myself and we're going to move on. Not my best move, okay? And definitely not advice. So let's talk about these sinking funds. I'm gonna open up my budget tracker and we're gonna take a look at my goals and my sinking funds, like talking numbers, okay? We're well into the video and it's finally time to start talking numbers. All right, so what you guys can see on the screen currently, this is a tab that I added into my budget tracker from the line. It's in Google Sheets, so you just add a new page, and this is what I built to track my goals and to track my accounts in terms of my sinking funds. Oh, I also have a vacation sinking fund, but I have no vacations planned right now. I like just came back from what felt like the trip of a lifetime and like I'm good. So you guys can see I have a section where I'm tracking my RRSP contributions where my goal was 20,000. I added this new box for TFSA. We will talk about that in a second. Moving over, we have emergency fund and friends. So I'm keeping all of my sinking funds in one account because up until recently, you couldn't have more than one cash account with Wealthsimple, and the cash account gives, I believe it's 4% interest. So it's a great bank account for your emergency fund or things like that because the money's just sitting there and you can earn 4% interest on it without actually having to invest it, which makes it a little bit more locked in. You have access to it all the time if something happens tomorrow. One time I gave the example of like if I broke my leg and I had to ask someone on the side of the road for help, which literally made no sense, but let's just keep that example for old time's sake. If that happened and I had to give the guy $500, I could just easily take it from my cash account like right away. So like I said, up until recently, you could only have one cash account earning 4% interest. So I was lumping all of my emergency funds together so that I could keep getting that interest rate. Now Wealthsimple changed it and you can actually have multiple accounts. So I may go and like actually separate these, but it's not a huge deal having them all together. I just track them here. So you guys can see in this box, I have my goals. So the emergency fund goal is 10,000, Maggie's fund is 1,000, and the car fund is 1,000. I added a little celebration emoji for when I hit the goal. And I'm so happy that I hit the goal for my emergency fund and for Maggie's fund. I actually forgot that I had hit the goal for Maggie's fund. So when I came in to look at this today, I was pretty happy because it was like, oh yeah, like sometimes when you make little mistakes or your budget doesn't go as planned, you kind of feel like it's the end of the world. And then these little moments happen and you're like, oh, like I'm doing better than I thought, you know, it's really not the end of the world. And then you guys can see down below, I have like the actual kind of live balance. So the emergency fund's even higher than 10,000 because of the interest. And this has probably actually changed. I could check on my app. We'll do that after. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna add the new fund of a fun fund. And I wanna start with $500. I think $500 would be just a great buffer. You know, you wanna order something from Lululemon, you wanna order something from Garage, you wanna order something from Aerie. Lately, Aerie has been like my vice. Like I'm obsessed with Aerie because it's so affordable and it's so comfy and their styles are really cute. So that's kind of been my go-to for shopping lately. But $500 is like a good amount. It's also not too much that you're like, let me go really crazy. It's just like a good amount. So my goal will be to contribute to that this month. We will see as things go along in this video how my budget is looking and if that's a possibility. The balance is 0 for now. All right, like I said, the vacation fund, my goal is to keep this around $2,000 so that if there's a seat sale somewhere, if something exciting happens, I can go on that kind of impulsive vacation. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but I do need to keep this in mind that it is not full. There's like $40 sitting in there, and if anything were to come up, I would probably have to say no. So this is another thing that I need to rebuild. Now, this brings me in to my goals chat because this is where I feel like I really have been letting myself down lately. And I don't like to come on camera and be negative. Like I really don't. So, but again, I just feel like that. I'm like, oh, I have a confession to make. Like I feel like I haven't been progressing towards my goals, and I feel my goals kind of slipping behind me where financial goal wise, things have been going so well for me for pretty much all of 2024. I've been like hitting my goals every single month. So to kind of not feel up to speed, like it does feel kind of shitty. I know it's okay. Like, again, it's really not the end of the world, but I do want to try and pick it back up. But that's where it's tough, is like, if you don't have the income coming in and you can't stop spending money, how are you going to contribute to your savings? And so that's where I don't feel so great about myself. So currently my outstanding goals are contributing to my investments, again, that $20,000 goal, contributing to the car fund, the newly appointed fund, and my vacation fund. So when you put it that way, I really do feel behind, but that's okay. I'm gonna just keep doing the best I can to move forward, and you can't do it all. Like, you look at this and you're like, oh my God, I'm $3,000 behind. I don't have $3,000, but you just need to prioritize and say, okay, what am I gonna start with? Moving over here, my big goal for the year was to contribute $20,000 to my RRSP, and my accountant told me I'm actually like getting close to over contributing. I thought I had more room than I did. So I need to pivot and split that goal now over to my TFSA. So instead of contributing to my RRSP for the rest of the year, I'm going to move that over to my TFSA. And I currently have a TFSA that is in a fund invested with Wealthsimple, but I've been doing some research. I've been talking with my investment savvy friends, and this is not advice, ring the alarm, this is not advice. It seems like a popular option. I don't want to say better option, but a popular alternative is, instead of putting your money directly in a fund where you have fees to pay to Wealthsimple, you can purchase let's think of it like a stock fund. So you buy a stock, and that stock is actually a fund that tracks certain things and basically acts like a fund without having management fees. So I'm just weighing all of my options. I'm going to do my research and figure out what is best for me. But that $1,000 a month goal with some bonuses to add up to 20,000 is now going to be split. So the remainder, currently I've contributed about 9,300. The difference between 20,000 and that, the goal is to put that towards my TFSA. And right now I'm not on track. Like, we're at the 8th month of the year. There's only a few months left. And that's a lot of money that I would need to put towards this, but I'm not gonna change the goal. I'm gonna keep it, and we'll see where we get to at the end of the year. I did not make any contributions in July. You guys can see it just stops at June. And I really wanna make sure that I can prioritize this for August, because it's important. And I just feel like the more months that go by where I don't contribute to my investments, it could start kind of a slippery slope of just being like, ugh, it's not gonna happen. I think sometimes when a goal feels too daunting or it feels impossible, we can tend to just back off completely. And I have been feeling a little bit like that, just kind of in general. Like, I look at the prices of houses and I'm like, well, I'm never gonna own a house, so forget about it, which is just a really bad mentality to have. The last sinking fund that I wanna talk about before we move on is my 1 month ahead account. So I don't even think of this as a sinking fund, but that's absolutely what it is. I have an account with RBC. It's like a second checking account where every month I make sure to put in $1,800 so that I can pay my rent and fill my cash envelopes stress-free. So I fill that up throughout the month, and then on the first of the month, I drain that account, and then the cycle continues. This is another thing, just like the emergency fund, that has given me tremendous peace of mind. It really eliminates that feeling of living paycheck to paycheck when you can keep up with being 1 month ahead. I made a whole video about it. I've been doing this for years. The video's old, but like the information is still good. So I will link it down below if you want to check it out, or you can check out videos from other YouTubers about how to get 1 month ahead. I really, really recommend this. I know it can be hard because it involves really putting some short-term savings aside. And when you are in that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, it can be really hard to break it, but this is a great way to break that cycle. I used to feel when the first of the month was coming up, I was like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna pay my rent? Where is the money coming from? Oh my God, my credit cards are due. Like, everything's happening all at the first of the month. And this just gives me a lot of peace of mind. So when I get paid from copywriting, I put money right away into there. My bar teacher paychecks go right automatically. They literally get deposited into that account, and it helps me fill it up. So if you have a side hustle, it's a great way to, give yourself that peace of mind, is have your side hustle income go right away into the sinking fund, or set aside a certain amount every paycheck to right away go into that account so that you can keep it full and keep that paycheck to paycheck feeling away. So now I want to actually start moving some money around. And before we get into the cash envelopes, I want to take care of some of these goals, and I want to prioritize them right away. But the first thing I need to do is pay off my credit cards. The internet is currently down on my I don't know, my home internet is not working. So we're gonna pay it off from my phone. And I thought, let me do it like live on camera, which I used to do all the time. And then I stopped because these videos just kept getting longer and longer, literally becoming like feature length films because I can't stop talking. But we're gonna do it today. So I have 2 credit cards. I have a MasterCard and an American Express. When I use my credit card, I try and always make it my American Express because the points are better than the MasterCard. But if you have an American Express, you know not everywhere takes Amex. So my MasterCard is kind of like my backup. I'm gonna start by paying off the MasterCard. My statement is due and the balance is $624. So I'm gonna pay it off in full because we do not wanna have those interest payments. All right, so the MasterCard's paid off. And then we have my American Express. The balance is $1,052. So I'm gonna pay that right away. I'm gonna send the money over, 91 cents. Okay, great. So both of my credit cards are paid off. That's always just like a nice weight off of the shoulder. I've also already paid my rent today. My Spotify will come due later in the month, as well as my Netflix, because I'm now a paying customer for Netflix. I got booted off my mom's account. And then my car insurance will also come out in a couple of days. So now I get to take a look at my accounts, see what I have left, and see what can I contribute towards some of these goals. I have a special account for YouTube money, and I like to keep a certain amount in there. I like to keep $2,000 there, which is kind of like a safety net. It's a pretty big safety net. And right now I currently have less than $2,000 in there. Last month, I did not contribute to my savings goals or my investing goals because I wanted to maintain that $2,000. This month, I'm kind of thinking, okay, do I want to go 2 months in a row without making any contribution towards my goals? No. So I think I am going to take some of that money from there, and hopefully I'll just be able to refill it soon. Hopefully some exciting new opportunities will come my way. It stresses me out to not have these little safety nets in here, but at the end of the day, I need to remind myself that I have my emergency fund, I have my sinking funds, like I'm covered. And I want to just send myself the message that I'm prioritizing my investments. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do 500 to the TFSA, which I will make a decision today on like where I'm going to invest it. I'll update you guys next month, but I'm going to do 500 to the TFSA. I'm going to do 150 to the new fund. And I think it's time that I really start putting money into that car fund. So I'm gonna do $150 as well. So that adds up to $800. I actually took $1,000 out of that account. I basically drained the account, but I think we'll make it a nice even $1,000 by doing $200 to the vacation savings. That way everyone gets a little bit of love. I'm contributing to my investments, and yes, it's kind of scary for me to take it away from that like YouTube sinking fund, but I think it's for the best. So I will send all of that money over to those accounts, and then I will update it in my spreadsheet, and I think that's gonna feel great. Moving along, it is time to empty my cash envelopes. This video is already getting so long. I've been recording for 35 minutes. I don't know how much I'm gonna cut out, so we'll see. It's gonna be a long video. My butt's getting sore from being sat on the floor, so I'm gonna sit on this pillow. Let's go ahead and empty these envelopes and see what we have left. All right, we're gonna do this really quick, and these are not in their usual order. So dining out, we have $20, $30, $40 left. For dining out, I think I'm gonna keep the money in here as kind of like a little buffer, so that I can add this to my budget and use it for next month. I foresee a lot of dining out in August because a lot of events are coming up. I'm going to a music festival, it's my boyfriend's birthday, so we need all the extra help we can get. And I'm just gonna write it down in my little notebook here that I'm carrying over $40 for dining out. For coffee, I did really great this month. I really was frugal in this category, which is amazing. So we have left $25. This I'm gonna put towards savings because we don't really need extra coffee money next month. All right, let's take a look at groceries here. I have quite a bit of cash left over. Wow, I didn't realize I had this much left over. That's great. So 50, 60, 80, 100, 240, so 140, 150, and $160 in cash left. However, I did have some spent on credit when it comes to groceries, so this is gonna go over to my spent on credit. We'll talk about that in a second. Personal care, I have $10 left, but I did overspend in this category, so I'm gonna add it to the spent on credit pile. Treat yourself. We're gonna put this towards savings, that's great. And the last one is Maggie. How much do we have left? In here, we have $40. I'm gonna put that towards savings. So let's add it all up. We have $20, $40, $60, $70, and $5. So $75 to go towards savings. And then $50, $60, $80, $100, $120, $140, $150, $160, and $170 to the spent on credit category. This will help me pay off my credit card next month. So this is my cash envelopes binder that I keep at home. It's just this cute clear one from the line. It's the most affordable cash envelopes binder. So if you're looking to get started and you want something like super affordable, I recommend this one. It's also super cute, I find. So I'm going to be putting all of the savings, that's not savings. This is savings. I'm gonna be putting all the savings money towards my Christmas sinking fund because Christmas is just gonna sneak up on us and I wanna be prepared. So that's great. Feels so good to contribute to this account. And then the rest is going to go into spent on credit. I will take this to the ATM and deposit it into my bank account. So we already have some money in here. That is just from times where I forgot to bring my cash envelopes or I had to spend on credit and then I pay myself back from the cash envelopes kind of in the moment or like as soon as I get home. And then those two extra categories, it was groceries and personal care. I did actually just overspend in those categories and I overspent on credit. So I'm giving myself this to kind of help pay myself back. Now let's dive back into my budget tracker and talk about what I spent. I'm gonna try and fly through this because this video is getting so long. So we can see groceries, I overspent by $50. I ended up spending $200 to buy like a bulk order of, this sounds so weird to talk about, but like I made an order from Farm to Fork, which is a higher quality meat distributor. They deliver frozen meat to your house and it's like you can get organic, you can get grass-fed, and it's just better quality, and when you buy in bulk it's more affordable. So last time JS ordered, this time I ordered, which brought my grocery budget over a little. However, I was able to avoid a few trips to the grocery store, but that just explains why my dining out budget was higher. So all in all, overspent by $50. I had budgeted $0 for the home and ended up spending $45 from my personal budget, and that was for a pickleball kit. That's again, one of those purchases where it's like, did I need to do that? No, but do I like playing pickleball now? Yes. I budgeted $40 for treat yourself, spent $27. You guys saw I had like a $10 left in the envelope. So great job on treat yourself. For Maggie, it was a much more affordable month for her. Not too many trips to the dog sitter, and I had previously bought a huge bag of food. So I didn't need to buy any food for her in July, but probably in August I will. So I budgeted $150 and only spent $80. Coffee, I budgeted $50 and spent $30. For dining out, I had originally budgeted $200 and then I gave myself kind of an extra budget of $100. Ended up spending $268, so we had that $30 left over. I find $300 on dining out is quite a bit. I would like to keep it more around the $200, $250 mark. Transportation, I budgeted $30. This is not accurate, I forgot to input, but I actually spent $60. I had to refill my Metro card twice, and each time it cost $30. I buy like 10 rides for $30 and I did that twice. But I don't think I'm gonna need to do it in August, so that's good. So yeah, this is inaccurate, I overspent. Personal care, I had budgeted $30 because I decided to stop going out and doing my nails. Instead I was gonna do them at home, and I ended up spending $124 because I got a haircut that I didn't budget for. But you know, when you just wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I need a haircut, that's kind of what happened. And the haircut was about $100. So I overspent by $94. For gifts, I budgeted $50 and spent $45. For books, nothing. For gas, I spent $114. Healthcare, I budgeted $100 but spent nothing. I meant to go back to acupuncture and it just hasn't happened yet. Parking, nothing. For workouts, I budgeted $30 and I spent $17.25. For car stuff, I had budgeted $0 and ended up spending $200 to get this little like air conditioning thing fixed in my car. Vacation, nothing. Christmas, obviously nothing. For my days out, I really limited them. I had budgeted $50 and I only spent $6. If I were to include my birthday day out where I bought myself a matcha, this would be around 13. Clothing, okay, here's where we get to the bad category. I budgeted 0 and spent 330. About 45 was getting some clothes altered and then the Aerie purchase of 250. And then the last thing is Maggie's dog sitter for during the work week. So I consider this more of a business expense. It's so that I can go out and teach my class or go out and have like a kind of a YouTube work day. I budgeted 200, which is one dog sitter a week. It is so expensive to get her watched. And I was able to keep this down to 138. So this little day out section is really fun, but it's one where I think can kind of take a cut back, given that it's more of like a business expense category and I'm not earning as much for my businesses. It's like, okay, you can stay and work from home and not have to pay the dog sitter and not have to like go out for lunch all the time. So I want to keep this more minimal next month. So speaking of next month, let's dive right away into August's budget. I already started preparing my categories here. This is just my cash categories and this adds up to 1,050, which is how much money I took out from the ATM this morning. I always like to first write my budget down by hand. There's just something like very soothing about doing that for me, and then I will go in and put it into the budget tracker. I'm gonna quickly fill out the non-cash categories. So books should be 0. Gas, I think it's gonna be like $200 because we have a big road trip coming up. I kept saying the road trip was at the end of July, but it's really this weekend. It's at the beginning of August. So it might even be closer to, you know what, I'm gonna be like super generous here. I'm gonna say $300. Healthcare, I'm gonna do another 100 because I really need to get back to acupuncture. Parking should be 0. Workouts, let's say 30. Car stuff should be 0. Vacation 0, Christmas 0, and skiing 0. Oh, and I need to add those 3 categories. We can just take out skiing. It's like, okay, so day out, we're gonna budget, let's say $20. Clothing, it really should be 0, but I'm gonna say 50, okay? Because it sucks to do like 0 and then like you end up spending. And then the dog sitter, I'm gonna do 100. So that would be twice. So that's like 2 days out instead of 4. I think that's very reasonable. So once again, the cash budget total is 1,050 and then the entire budget total is 1,650. So it's definitely a lot of money, and something that I've just been kind of reflecting on lately is like, do I spend a reasonable amount of money? Do I spend too much money? Like, I've been watching other people, and this just goes back to what I talked about at the beginning of the video, and there are some categories where I feel like I'm like, how do they spend so little money? Like, I see couples and they're spending like $800 on groceries for the 2 of them, and I'm like, how? Because I spend about $450 and I think JS spends twice as much as that. Like, we just spend so much on food. It blows my mind. But I would love to hear from you guys. Like, what is your most expensive budget category? Is it groceries? Is it dining out? Do you like to get takeout? Is it clothing like me? What do you spend most of your money on? All right, so now it is time to stuff these cash envelopes, wrap up this video. As always, this is my favorite part. So the first category is groceries. And for groceries, we are going to do 100, 200, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3. Whoa, let's start that again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 300. Okay, Zoe. 2, 4, 6, 8, 300. 2, 4, 6, 8, $450. Now listen, sometimes you guys come for me that my bills aren't arranged, but honestly, this is how they come out of the ATM, and I could take some time before filming to arrange the bills, but there's like so much on my mind, so much that I want to say that honestly, it always just slips my mind is arranging the bills. So I'm sorry, this is how it's gonna be, at least for this video. For home, I'm gonna do $30. Next category is treat yourself. I'm gonna do $50. This is like so bad for my back. What I'm doing, like twisting, oh my God. 2, 4, 6, 8, $100 for Maggie. We're gonna do $40 for coffee. 2, 4, 6, 8, 100, 200, and $50 for dining out. Plus we have that $40 buffer. So I think that is really gonna help. I'm doing $0 for transportation because I already filled up the Metro card. I'm doing $30 for personal care, no nails this month and no haircut this month. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 100. I messed up somewhere. What? 2, 4, 6, 8, 100 for gifts. So I have a Rogue 20. I need to figure out where that goes. So then I just clip everything into the folio. Everything's nice and cozy in here. I will disperse some of these envelopes between this folio, which is my beautiful leather folio. It's embossed with my initials. This is like my wallet that I carry with me. And then I will not carry all of this cash around with me. I'll put some of it in my stay-at-home envelope, but that's that. Okay, you guys, that is a wrap. I've been filming for an hour, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I had so much fun spending the last hour / however long this video ends up editing out to with you guys talking about money. Thank you as always for being here and for supporting my videos and supporting my channel. It really means the world to me to be able to chat about money with you guys. It's so fun. So I hope you have an amazing month of August. I will see you all in my next video. I have so many videos and vlogs coming up, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will stop talking now.